Good afternoon, everybody. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner, and I'm gonna send this video to a lot of people, and there's a good reason why. Every one of these people left a comment on a YouTube video entitled Jeff Bliss Interview on FOX4. Now the thing is, what people do not realize is social media 101. Now YouTube videos like this are no different than old Roman forums. You went into a Roman forum, you made your statement, and then people debated you in an honor challenge until somebody prevailed. Okay? So basically, for you not to expect a response from me after leaving a comment on a forum like this, it's just silly. The reason you're getting this is because you left that comment on that video. And I'm responding back to you. Okay. Let's get into this, shall we? The first three people I'm going to comment on is XIMENAMOYA, like I even know how to pronounce this, and Davian Grant, and Patriot 53620. Now, I do have some positive things to say to Patriot 53620. However, at this point in the video, and like I said, there's going to be some positive things I'll say later in the video, but at this point, here's what I have to say. To all three of you, all of you used expletives to try to make your point. This is a bad mistake. Why is that a bad mistake? Okay. Have you ever heard how employers, even potential employers, will require you to give to them your Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Tumblr usernames and passwords? You know why they do that? So they can read all of your comments on every piece of social media. And if they don't have all this information, they can still find out who you are on those medias, read your comments, and assess what kind of an employee you're going to be for them. I know they watch my videos, and I'm glad they do, because now they're beginning to realize just what's going on. If they haven't realized it yet, they're going to at the end of this video. Here's the thing. When employers watch this of their employees, when they read those comments, here's what they're thinking. If this person cannot control the use of expletives on social media, what makes you think that they're going to control that on my sales floor? That's what they think. They think you've got such a bad habit that you can't control it. So what do? They don't hire you. And if they've hired you already, they'll most likely find a good reason to get rid of you, and quickly. Because you're trouble. And that's the way they see you. I know that's not fair, but it's true. Now, what is a bad habit? Well, addictions and bad habits fall into the same category. It is something you do on a regular basis that you have a tough time controlling and brings detrimental things to you. Okay? This is like when you are addicted to nicotine or alcohol or any other controlled substance. And there are a ton of things you can get addicted to. You get addicted enough to chocolate, you're going to have heart disease. That's just the way it is. Okay? And not necessarily the chocolate gives you the heart disease, it's the caffeine and the oils that they use to make the confections. That's what causes the heart disease. Oops. Even a continual ingestion of whole milk can cause you to have heart disease. Bet you didn't know that. So, that's why they say what they say. The point is that if you develop a humongously bad habit to reciting expletives on social media, the employers do not want that on their sales floor, so they won't hire you, or they'll find a quick way to get rid of you. Because they can't monitor you 24 hours a day. And they don't want customers coming back to them and saying that this person was rude and he was using expletives, the whole 9 yards. They don't need that. They have enough problems without that. That's my point. Okay, so now dealing with that, I would like Patriot 53620 to continue just stay tuned, because I have some good things to say to this guy too. Now then, let's go on to the second topic. And this covers Cam Connell, Michael Gimme, Tuyen Lee, and Julian Netter Eyes. Okay. I am well aware that people all over the world use smartphones these days. They use them quite a bit. As a matter of fact, it's gotten so bad that when pedestrians start walking across the street, they get so engrossed in the smartphone that they are completely oblivious to the cars that are coming right at them and getting ready to hit them. And I would not be the least bit surprised in reading a story one day out of a newspaper where somebody actually got hit because they were paying more attention to the smartphone than they were to the car. I can see this happening at any time. And that's bad. Now, the worst part about all this is that they never proofread what they type into that smartphone before they send it off to places like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, MySpace, Tumblr. Need I go on? And what happens is that these employers, some of them actually do use smartphones, so they are well aware of how you can foul up with smartphones in sending your messages. But then the employers proofread their messages before they send them out. Now, those who do use smartphones are aware of this, but then they say to themselves, if the guy's not going to take the time to proofread his message before sending it out, then what makes you think he's going to proofread his messages while he's working on my sales floor? Oops. There you go. The other thing is that those who do not use smartphones on a regular basis and have very little knowledge of smartphones on a regular basis, this would be the older employers, okay? They're going to think you're a bad speller. You have bad grammar, you're a bad speller, why would I hire you? That's a bad thing. You don't want that to happen. You don't want employers to think you're a bad speller, that you have poor grammar, you have poor vocabulary, or that you can't proofread on a smartphone. Either way, that keeps you out of the workforce. Those are the things that are keeping you out of the workforce. Pure and simple. Correct that, and I guarantee you'll have a lot better jobs. Even if you've left a message like that before, you say, well, that was 5 years ago. I improved my stuff. I proofread now. You can see it in my more current messages. I proofread, I've corrected my spelling, I've corrected my grammar, so on and so forth. And they say, well, okay, that used to be your problem. It's not your problem anymore, so that's a better candidate. That shows improvement. When you're improving yourself, an employer notices that and is more likely to hire you because of it. So take a note from Ted the Speed Learner. Improve your spelling. Improve your grammar. Learn how to proofread. You'll have a much better chance of getting a job because of it. Guaranteed. Now you say, well, why don't you cite some examples? Cam Connell writes, nice speech. How do you misspell the word speech? Doesn't happen. Michael Gimme misspells the name of Jeff. How do you misspell the name of Jeff? Because you didn't proofread. Tuyen Lee. It must be your name. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hopefully you'll give us that pronunciation here on YouTube. It would be nice if you did. Writes HWE. Like, what does that mean? We don't know. Julian Netter Eyes. Now, the first thing I'm going to say to you is that I do tend to stutter, and that is a problem. But I work on that all the time. Nevertheless, you say, I live in Puerto Rico. It's actually Puerto Rico. Actually, I should say it right. Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Yeah, you can tell I don't pronounce Spanish as well as everybody else. I'm sorry, I don't do the rolling R's the way they should be. But live in, if you're going to write in our language, live space in. Now, first of all, I don't claim to be an expert at Spanish. I claim to be an expert at Italian. Big difference. So, and Italian doesn't use the rolling R near as much as Spanish. That's true. Okay, but if you're going to speak our language, live and in are separated. There's a space between live and in. And my teachers are really bad teaching. Okay? They are really bad at teaching. They may not be bad at other things, but they certainly are bad at teaching. We speak in Spanish and my English teacher is a moron. Okay. Must be a moron because your English teacher is not helping you out with things like... Your English teacher has not taught you how to proofread in English. That's pretty bad. I speak way better than her. If this is the way you speak, I can't even imagine how he or she speaks. Well, actually, in this case, it's a her, and if you speak this badly, I can't imagine how she speaks. You know what I would do to her? I would walk up to her and say, I can't afford you costing my future career. If you cannot teach me, I need to find another teacher who can. And then go out and find another teacher that can. If nothing else, you can watch my videos, and hopefully that will improve your speech. If you need help with this, I would be more than happy to assist you. Even with a stuttering problem, you'll be better off. So, hopefully you'll come to my YouTube channel, you'll learn some things from me, and maybe you'll become a better speaker, and you'll have a better chance of getting a job in the future. Okay, so, now that we're done with all that, let's go through the rest of these comments. Drake Everett writes, everybody thinks he could have handled it better, but what the heck, at least he did it. Okay. Well, this is where I start shifting you. I made an 11-part presentation called For My Students. And I'll leave a link to the first part right down here. I'd like for you to watch all of it. And the 2 addendums that go along with it. There are a lot of things that I know that apparently you do not know, that if you did know, you would not think like this. It's that simple. Jeff Bliss is a national disgrace. And that 11-part presentation will tell you specifically why he's a disgrace. Especially in the 2 addendums that follow after the 11-part presentation. Should something have been done about all this? Yes, but not by Jeff Bliss. He had no right to do what he did. None. If you don't believe me, you watch my whole presentation, then you comment back to me. Don't even think about commenting back to me unless you've watched the whole thing. Every stinking minute of it. Because I won't listen to a thing you say until you do. The end. Don't believe me? Test me. Okay? Infrared Rays Digital writes, if this happened in England, the student would be suspended. Not ospended. Suspended. S-U-S-P-E-N-D-E-D. And this would not have made it to the news. That is sad, but probably true. Also, witnesses would be forced to pretend it didn't happen. Again, sad, but probably true. Hardcore Scars. Definitely support Jeff. Really? Watch my 11-part presentation, and then you'll find out how much you really don't support Jeff anymore. Okay? Okay, Monique Mesa. I love Jeff. He speaks with intelligence in a very cool way. I would pay to listen to him. Watch my 11-part presentation, and you'll definitely change your opinion in about 3 seconds. Cruise Cam. Hey, that's Keegan Michael Key. You know what employers see to this? First of all, they don't even know who Keegan Michael Key is. Most of them don't. Unless they're very young. Most employers would have no idea who this guy is. I know I don't, and I'm 43. So I don't. Now, here's the kick. What does that have to do with the conversation at hand? This is about a tirade Jeff Bliss made on a YouTube video. What does that have to do with his tirade? Nothing. That's a pointless comment. You know what employers say to that? Are you that silly and stupid? We ain't gonna hire you. Why? Because if you're dumb enough to leave a comment like that, think what you'll do to us. Then you don't get hired. End of story. Don't believe me? Find out for yourself. Shipwrecks writes, my education? Think again. It's the government telling the education system what it wants you to know and be able to do. I kind of agree to that. That is, fit in and be a nice little consumer, continue to make the wealthy more wealthy, and work yourself to a grade. Well, in some ways, I agree with that. But that doesn't mean you're helpless. There are things you can do about it. In the United States, there are things you can do about it. If you'll come to my YouTube channel and start learning all my videos, go through the playlists first, you learn all that material, you'll be a lot better off. Now here's where I'm going to be a little more positive to Patriot 53620. This is total garbage. I agree. All those supporting this garbage are very unintelligent. I agree. Why? Well, now here's a good thing. He's now telling people why they should not listen to Jeff Bliss. Okay? Now, I don't agree with everything he says, but I'll go along with some of it. The teacher's job is to give us work. No, the teacher's job is to motivate you to learn. That's their job. Okay? It's not to give you work, it's to motivate you to learn. That's where the teacher went wrong. Sounds bad, but think about it. The passion does not need to come from the teacher, but from the student. It needs to come from both. This kid is a ruthless thug. No. He is an idiot bum who thought himself better than anybody else. He's a cocky kid. He's not a thug, he's a cocky kid. He has a serious attitude problem and a serious lack of intelligence. Because if he had known what I know, he wouldn't have done what he did. It's that simple. They just wanted to talk back. Well, he definitely wanted to talk back, but he was doing it in a very stupid way. In college, you don't have a little teacher saying, come on, you can do it. I know that. And a lot of people have that misconception when they get into high school. Alright. Nah, that is garbage. Do your work, ask a question if you got one, and just focus on your own work. Again, Y-O-U-R. Spell properly. It makes a better point and is more likely to get you hired. That's a fact. But I do agree, students should do their work, they should do their own research, and then ask the teacher for confirmation about the research they've done. That I agree with. Ask a question. Students should ask lots of questions. And you should focus on your work and not somebody else's. I agree. Eric Espejo. Now you would say, well, that's a J. Well, J in Spanish is pronounced H, for those of you who do not know. So Eric Espejo says, you're wrong, have a good day. He doesn't say why he's wrong. He doesn't go point by point. He just says you're wrong. You know what the employer says? That's an idiot, we're not hiring him. Especially when they get enough information about what Jeff Bliss really did. Then they're saying, you're a real idiot, we're not hiring you. Don't believe me? We'll find out. Wilbur4666, you again with the dang blasted grammar. It is Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. You are so wrong. It's sad. Have a nice day. No, you are an idiot. The employers see you as an idiot and say, I'm not going to hire you because you don't know what I do know. If you don't believe me, people, again, I will say I have an 11-part presentation saying for my students with 2 addendums. Watch all that material first, then comment on me, and you'll find out that I'm right on this. Okay? Shipwreck writes, well done, someone with a sense of reason and personal responsibility. And he's saying this to Patriot 53620. I partially agree with Patriot 53620. And you've seen my agreements and disagreements. So, yeah, he did have a pretty good point. Paid leave, this comes from Roan33. Paid leave, wow. So she gets a vacation for sucking a teacher. Well, she didn't necessarily get a vacation. She was put on paid administrative leave until they ran a proper investigation on her teaching methods. Now the thing is, she did have a right to kick the kid out of class, but she did it the wrong way. She should be sent back to school, this teacher should be sent back to school to learn better ways to send kids out of class, because the way she did it was wrong. And her teaching methods need to be upgraded. Gabriel Ross writes back to Roan33, says, "You are completely wrong. Paid leave is not a disciplinary action." That's right. It's what happens during an investigation. I agree. Since the investigation turned up nothing of merit, she returned to work. It is simply district protocol. This is where we get into this. Roan33 did not do proper research before making the comment. Had he done so, things would have been different. Anime Freak 8188. A teacher molested his student and is still getting paid, even though he's in jail. That is totally wrong. Okay? Bruce Wayne, now I know this is not your real name, okay? Bruce Wayne writes, "What a guy. Dude's got guts. Could have swore he was Jason Mewes, ha ha ha." Okay, like any of us know who Jason Mewes is. I want to clear that up in your comments. Second thing, you can have guts and be an idiot. And you know what happens to idiots with guts eventually? A lot of times they end up in the morgue. That's right. That's not a good thing. Gloria D. Jeremy writes, 131, Kay and Peele. Like we even know who Kay and Peele are, and more importantly, why they have any relevance to this video. Didn't clear that up at all. You know what the employer sees? Village idiot, not hiring. That's what they see. Dixie Ash Gidget David. I kid you not, this is the username. Dixie Ash Gidget David. So you're saying that it's okay for a teacher to give a class packets and then take credit for their education? I never said that. I said Jeff Bliss was not the right person to go after this teacher. He did everything completely wrong. And in my 11-part presentation, you're going to find out how wrong it was and what kind of trouble he actually caused. It was a lot worse than you think. Furthermore, it is okay for a teacher to tell her students to quit griping when all he did was ask why another class knew about the test before them. Jeff Bliss had a serious attitude problem. She didn't like that. She challenged him and he went into a tirade, thus exposing his absolute stupidity to the entire class. And I'm sure the class was laughing at him after he left. It was stupid what he did, and you'll find this out. Gabriel Ross writes, go back and read the whole thread before you make ridiculous assumptions about me. I would need to know a lot more about the class and the teacher to determine what types of assignments would be best. Well, you could do that another way. You can research the various teaching methods of all over the world and research the packets in general. Then you can make a correct assessment about what was going on in that classroom. I guarantee it. 90 seconds of Jeff's fake insights is not enough for me to know anything about the students or the teacher. It tells me a few things, but not enough to make all the assessments I need to make. In general, I don't think using packets exclusively is the best method. I agree. But for some classes it might be. College, yes. High school, maybe not. In any case, I have no evidence that this is how Jeff teachers taught. Well, the interviews later on said that was true, so there you go. The same goes for quit griping. I have no evidence whether or not it was said. Its appropriateness, again, would be determined based upon context. If Jeff was, in fact, complaining and preventing a test from beginning, as was the case, according to him, then I don't think it's entirely inappropriate, albeit unprofessional. These are reasonable arguments. I don't know that I agree with everything, but these are reasonable arguments. Dixie asks Gidget David, then writes, do you judge everyone by their looks or just him? This is about judging him by his looks. We're judging him by his attitude. And Jeff Bliss had a very bad attitude. Period. Gabriel Ross says, I don't care if he was being mean or singing her praises. He was disrupting class. That's true. What makes Jeff's issue more important is that the issues of every other student in class. Again, a good point. He wasn't speaking for the whole class. He was speaking for himself. And you'll find that out in my 11-part presentation. Nothing, because they aren't. Jeff's tantrum prevented a test from beginning, a test which he knew was to happen for at least 2 days. Well, nice. He knew this test was coming up for 2 days and he didn't even prepare himself? How is taking time away from other students fair to them? I agree. Just because Jeff cares doesn't make his actions appropriate or his characterization of his teacher correct. Again, I agree. I'll tell you what makes... Now here we go. X-Jesse Rooks, I'm not kidding you, X-Jesse R-U-E-X writes, I'll tell you what makes Jeff's issues more important. They aren't just Jeff's issues. They are the issues of probably 90% of every child in America public school system. I would know, seeing that I've been in it for 11 years straight now. He was speaking passionately about something that needed to change, and only after a teacher used completely inappropriate, rude language in response to a question he had. This isn't about him wanting to get out of the test. He clearly cares about his education. If he clearly cared about his education, he would have dealt about this a long time before that test ever happened. That's a fact. He didn't do any research. Get real. This is a very idiotic comment. It's stupid. And employers see that, and that's why you don't get hired. Don't believe me? Go through my 11-part presentation with the 2 addendums, then tell me. Alright. Gabriel Ross writes, give me a break. I was a student longer than you were, so enough with the my viewpoint is more relevant than yours argument. Well, in my presentation I mentioned that not only have I graduated from high school and a technical academy, but I also went to college. So I've been in 3 different types of teaching environments. And I've done research about other environments all over the world. So that makes me a far better expert than X-Jesse Rooks. So I agree with Gabriel Ross. Jeff's behavior prior to the supposed rude language was also rude, given that it was a disruptive complaint. I agree. He might care, but that doesn't make his actions correct. He doesn't really care. There were far better ways to care than what he did. And there is no evidence that Jeff's teacher is any of the things he accuses her of. There was a little bit of evidence, but it was totally misinterpreted. I think it was due to poor training on her part rather than just being a poor teacher. And that was the intent of his outburst. He was trying to malign his teacher, not change the world. Again, Jeff Bliss dropped an honor challenge, and she didn't meet it appropriately. I would have. I'd have shamed that kid right in front of that class, and then I would have ordered him out not to ever return. And he would not return to that classroom. End of story. X-Jesse Rooks writes again. This is about the fact that he stood up for what he believed in. No, it's not. It's about giving a massive tirade in an idiotic fashion. Maybe it wasn't the most appropriate way. It was definitely not the most appropriate way. It wasn't even close to being appropriate. But at the time, Rosa Parks wasn't standing up for what she believed in the most appropriate way either. You're comparing Jeff Bliss to Rosa Parks? Rosa Parks was 3 times more intelligent than that Jeff Bliss. So don't even give me that. There's no comparison between those two. That's stupid. I'm not characterizing the teacher. I'm saying it's wrong for you to just write off Jeff as a drop-out punk wanting to get out of a test, which isn't even a big part of this entire situation. Oh, I think it's a very big part of this entire situation. You really don't know anything about what's going on here. Jeff Bliss dropped an honor challenge, and the teacher should have met it and humiliated him and then kicked him out. But this goes on and on and on, and I'm not going to go into this. Braulio Braulio Vergara says this guy should be president. President of what? President of the Student Union? President of the school board? President of the United States? You don't say. Need to be more specific. The Hobgoblin writes, this dude looks like, well, never mind. Mom must be so very proud. I agree. If you want respect, you have to look respectful. I look respectful. He did not. Okay? You have to think about what you want to accomplish in life and then dress the part. That I agree with. This is a pathetic statement about the case of urban schools today. Yippee! Let's all go to private schools. Corporate private schools. Often older students do become frustrated when they are not able to learn or comprehend. Many years of not studying and not reading catch up with these students. Sometimes they become angry. Years ago he would have been a candidate for night school while working on a job in the daytime. Today this is not the case. There are no jobs for these kids in the corporate scheme of things. The schools are designed to supply service industry with labor. That's rather sad but true. Alright. Well, I think I've covered quite a bit here. Wow. I will tell you all more in a future video. Stay tuned.